The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
And I was just wondering if you had an estimate on what the cost was.
I don't, but I would refer you to the East Wing.
Busy week for President Obama. The expense of the First Lady's birthday party, his comparison of marijuana to alcohol, and the continuing problems with the Obamacare rollout. Tonight, White House correspondent Ed Henry will bring us up to date.
Women I know are outraged that the Democrats think that women are nothing more than helpless and hopeless creatures.
Big controversy over Mike Huckabee's comments about women, libidos, and big government. We'll debate it.
New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is still digging himself out of this scandal, Bridgegate. Some experts are now saying he could be impeached. Yeah, when he heard that, Christie said, peach.
And the fat jokes are back again as the late night guys pile on Chris Christie. Do you think it's funny? Caution. You are about to enter the no spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Why Americans don't like to be told what to do. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. It looks like marijuana will soon become acceptable in this country. Millions of Americans like to use the drug and do not want to be told they are wrong to do so. On the flip side, most drug counselors will tell you pot harms children big time, and many adults cannot handle it either. On this and other issues, most Americans do not like to be told how to behave in their personal time. When the government outlawed alcohol in 1920, many Americans simply disobeyed the law, and prohibition was repealed in 1933. Today, the primary argument for legalizing pot is that booze is legal. But when you think about harm reduction, that argument is foolish. You don't add another intoxicant to the marketplace unless there's a good reason to do so. And really, there isn't a good reason. People who smoke pot and eat the brownies and that stuff want it. They want it. And that's that. The consequences be damned. That being said, I'm not an anti-pot crusader. Here's what I said 4 years ago. I would decriminalize marijuana in the sense that I wouldn't hunt it down, but I'd still prosecute dealers, and if anybody was in a car under the influence, they'd get a book thrown at them. Simply put, the law of the land should be no public use of marijuana, but what you do in private is your business if you're an adult. Now, the USA was founded on individualism, and that rugged tradition has taken deep root. Many of us just don't want the federal government to control our lives. We want to be able to protect ourselves. That's the gun issue. We want to be able to make a living without the feds taking 50% of our pay. And we want to be able to recreate in a way that pleases us. And for some, that means getting high. Talking Points is somewhat amused that the liberal agenda is pro-drug, but anti-gun and pro-nanny state. Today in the New York Times, they scorched the cigarette industry, telling their readers that nicotine is the devil. But the same newspaper doesn't think THC, the intoxicating agent of marijuana, is so bad. Last November, the Times made all kinds of excuses why pot should be legal. So, to the avid left-wing Times, cigarettes, no. Pot, yes. Believe me, the health hazards, both physical and mental, of using marijuana are at least as pernicious as using tobacco on a regular basis. In a perfect world, all Americans would discourage the use of destructive chemicals, right? And that has happened with tobacco. In 1965, more than 42% of American adults smoked, including my mother. Now just 19% of Americans smoke. The reason, an anti-cigarette campaign, an intense one. So why don't we have an anti-pot campaign while we decriminalize it? Why do we want children to think that intoxication is a good thing? Why? In my life experience, I've seen hundreds of folks get hurt while intoxicated. Doesn't matter what the substance. You alter your state of consciousness, bad things can and do happen. Children should hear that message over and over and over. Is that too much to ask? And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, rough week for President Obama. First, a magazine printed comments the president made about race and marijuana. That caused some controversy. Then ABC News correspondent Jonathan Karl started asking about the First Lady's birthday celebration.
The First Lady had her 50th birthday party. I believe you said that the president picks up the cost for that party.
I think we put out information. I don't have it here. I would refer you to the East Wing.
And I was just wondering if you had an estimate on what the cost was.
I don't, but I would refer you to the East Wing.
Joining us now from the White House, Fox News Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry. So the East Wing is, excuse me, that's the domestic side, of the presidency. The East Wing, is that right?
That's right.
And the West Wing is the business side.
Right.
All right. So do we know how much the birthday bash costs?
We haven't gotten an estimate. I think John Karl's a great correspondent. He often asks very fair, tough questions. But in this case, it's hard to get an answer, frankly, because the president did pick up the cost of his wife's 50th birthday party. Every person in the country, whether it's First Lady or not, is entitled to a birthday party. If taxpayer dollars had been used for the party, obviously there'd be a lot more reason for us to really press the administration on this. In this case, the president took the money out of his own pocket. It was his wife's birthday. So it's probably the end of the story.
Okay. But I'd like to know how much it costs. I mean, I'm just curious about it. Now, so is it any of my business, though? I don't know if it's my business or not.
Taxpayer dollars or not. If the hard-earned tax dollars of our viewers are involved, then it's a big story.
But aren't you curious about how much it costs?
I'm curious, but I'm not saying there's a lot of news value.
I think Beyonce probably did it for free. I don't think she charged $1 million. She charged some
I'm sure she did.
Dictator someplace. But
Al Roker was here dancing, by the way.
Yeah, did Al Roker kick? Did they have a jar like to throw money in to help? President's only, what do you make, $240,000? That's not a lot.
No, $400,000 for the president.
$400,000. That's right. I'm living in a stone age. Well, that's a good salary, but I mean, this looked like a pretty big bash. All right, so we're probably not going to find out. That's okay. I didn't think the pot comment was that big a deal, and the race comment I said was fine, was accurate. That the feeling of the realm.
They feel inside the White House that the president's comments on marijuana are reflective of the fact that the country is changing, much as it has on same-sex marriage, and that you see from Fox News polling and elsewhere that there's a clear growing majority of the public that believes marijuana should be legalized. And you see it now in Colorado and Washington State, and the president was pivoting off that. Where he may run into more trouble, though, is when in that New Yorker magazine interview he said that he doesn't believe marijuana is any worse than alcohol. His own drug czar office here within the administration still classifies, if you check their website, marijuana as a very dangerous drug, and that's contradictory. And so he's going to have to wrestle with, is he creating new policy?
Yeah, but as you point out, most of the folks just want it legalized now. In a magazine interview that contained the comments on marijuana and race, they also, this comment, I want to quote and get your opinion on it. The issue has been my inability of my message to penetrate the Republican base so that they feel persuaded that I'm not the caricature that you see on Fox News or Rush Limbaugh, but I'm somebody who's interested in solving problems and pretty practical, and that actually a lot of things we put into place work better than people might think. So I mean, he's been taking a shot at Limbaugh on Fox News. I don't know why he continues to do that. Do you?
I think a lot of politicians in both parties like to shoot the messenger, and if they don't like what they see on a certain channel or in a certain newspaper, they like to fire away, and they often end up finding out in the long run that it doesn't really move the ball forward for their agenda.
He could have said, look, people who don't like me, they no matter what I do, they don't like it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so on that note, then I'm showing up, Henry, and throwing you out of your little chair there in the White House.
Yeah, what's the deal? I thought I was going to get the interview.
But I do want you for you to give me your pocket hanky so I can go in there and really look dapper.
I'm giving this to you.
But do you have any advice for me going into the big house?
It's live. I thought long and hard about this, because far be it from me, a mere correspondent, to give the great one advice before a big interview. But I thought about it some more and I got 3 tips. 1, open-ended questions. That's when the president, rather than always pinning them down, open-ended question, he ruminates a bit more, might open up a little bit. Secondly, I would ask about Olympic security. That's a big issue that's coming up. Great concern about American athletes, and thousands of Americans will be there. And finally, Bill, Can you see that?
Keep it pithy?
Keep
But,
it pithy.
you know, I don't have much time, so, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Not a lot of time. Super Bowl, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Keep it pithy.
Who's the great one, though? You referred to the great one? I was confused. Is that Kilmeade in the morning? I mean, who are we referring to there?
I was referring to William O'Reilly.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
the great one.
You know, we got to use you more.
I want to get back on the
Factor.
show. That's why
Henry,
it's working.
we got to use you more.
Keep it pithy. Keep it pithy, and keep Henry on the Factor. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Next on the rundown, Mike Huckabee causing big controversy, mentioning women and libidos. Uh-oh. Take a look at it. Later, Gutfeld and McGurk on the return of the Chris Christie fat jokes. And the Factor is coming right back.